Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, welcome, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Football Heritage TV. It's all going on in the world of transfers, depending on who you support. Today, we're going to be talking about possible links into Tottenham Hotspur. Also, other clubs are actually doing things, actually putting pen to actual paper and bringing the actual human being to the actual football club. So, Chelsea are today about to have a double signing of Gittens from Borussia Dortmund and Pedro from Brighton. So we'll be talking and asking the question, are Chelsea going to be title challengers, or are they not buying the right calibre needed? Tottenham, a lot of links in the last 48 hours to Jacob Ramsey of Aston Villa. Now, this isn't a new link, is it? This is a link that we've had, you would say, the last couple of days. The last couple of seasons, we've been linked with Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. So we'll have a look at that, see what everyone thinks. I've got a pretty good idea. I know what most people are going to think about that. Also, Alistair Gold this morning, reassuring the fans that the links with Romero to Atletico Madrid are not true. We'll have a little look at that as well. And it's the last day of June, which means that for a lot of clubs, their new financial year starts tomorrow. So for those that use that as the excuse, and I've said it, I don't know how much goes into it, clubs will now start buying players. And I think we're about to see the domino effect. Brighton have sold players. Brighton have sold footballers. Ipswich have sold footballers. Everyone's selling footballers. So at some point, that merry-go-round has to happen, doesn't it? The butterfly effect has to happen. So all football clubs will start moving. Most football clubs, their players come back from pre-season towards the end of this week, and then they start pre-season friendlies almost imminently. So clubs need to get players through the door. Now, let's start with the Romero news, which isn't really news. Everyone's saying Romero's leaving. This is what Ali Gold said this morning. I've seen this as well from Michael Bridge of Sky Sports. This is what Ali Gold has said. Let me just make sure my face isn't in the way. Here we go. So if we scroll up, let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger for you. No, actually, if I go too big, that'll be massive, won't it? Ali Gold has just said there, two little bits of Spurs centre-back news. Reports that Atletico have agreed a fee for Christian Romero are not true. And Kawasaki Frontal have confirmed that Kota Takai will be leaving the team on July the 5th to begin the process of joining an overseas club. So we know that that overseas club is Tottenham Hotspur. But the news there that I think everyone would probably want to see is that Christian Romero, there has been no deal agreed. I've not seen it anywhere. Let's have a look. Romero, Tottenham, Atletico. Let's have Atletico. Let's have a look and see if we can find some rumours on that. I'm just scanning the news. 9 hours ago, Sports View via Yahoo have said Atletico Madrid close in on Tottenham defender Christian Romero. Football London has said Tottenham stance on Christian Romero to Atletico Madrid. Who else? Sports Mole has said Tottenham transfer news conflicting Christian Romero claims as publications report a fee is agreed and others say they are not. So listen, there's lots of news. But I don't feel that any of it is actually substantiated in any way, shape, or form, right? Like, I feel like we know. I feel like Christian Romero is a World Cup winner. I feel like we would know from the Plattenbergs, the Ornsteins, the Romanos. I think we would know if there was some form of an official bid that had gone in. Atletico Madrid have been active. They have signed 3 or 4 players already in this window. But we knew from the beginning from before the summer kicked in, we all knew that Christian Romero is a target for Atletico Madrid. His compatriot, Diego Simeone. A lot of his Argentinian teammates play for Atletico, the likes of Alvarez, Simeone, Rodrigo de Paul. You know, he's got teammates there already. Simeone, obviously one of the biggest figures in Argentinian football. Of course, we all know what happened with him. But the be-all and end-all will be if they've got the money and if they stump it up. And if they do, does that trigger the Spurs merry-go-round for transfers? There are conflicting reports. Tottenham have money to spend this window, and ENIC are going to finally invest their own money. Methinks that Pinocchio is at play there. Other reports saying that Tottenham don't have money and they do need to sell to buy. And you know what we love about it? It's Tottenham, isn't it? It's Tottenham Hotspur. This is what we do. This is what we do. And what you need to do is have a bit of water and smash the like button. It wouldn't be a Tottenham Hotspur window if we weren't all flapping around and worrying about absolutely everything. But hey, here we are, and this is what we're doing. Paratici's worldwide ban ended at midnight. So for the last 10 hours, he's been a free agent, so to speak. What will happen with him? But let's have a quick look at what let's have a look actually at what Romero said in the last 12 hours. Let's see what's going on there. And then we'll talk about a few of these stories as well. Here we go. Newcastle in the last hour are closing in on a deal for James Trafford. Final details are being sorted. Agreement almost done with Burnley. And then it will be, here we go. Now, this is interesting because just 2 days ago, it was reported that Newcastle had was it a 25 or a 27 million pound bid rejected. We also know that Newcastle have had bids rejected for Elanga. We know that they've had bids rejected for Pedro before he decided to join Chelsea. So Newcastle, it looks like publicly, I mean, I'm not saying we haven't, but looks like we've not actually bid for anyone. Newcastle have publicly bid, and it looks like they might get their first one over the line, which is James Trafford, which means that their goalkeeping department will be very strong. 2 English goalkeepers with Nick Pope and with James Trafford. So that's going to be an interesting one to see if that gets done very soon. Also interesting to see, does Nick Pope stay there? Is Trafford joining Newcastle to be a number 2? So keep an eye on that one. That one's going to be very, very interesting. As we scroll down an hour ago, Malik Tillman, good player, Malik Tillman, to Bayer Leverkusen. Here we go. Verbal agreement in place between all parties involved. Transfer fee of around 35 to 40 million euros. Total package. That's a bargain, by the way. Long-term deal agreed. Buy-in of buyback clause, but Bayer Leverkusen now consider verbal agreement done. Now, this is interesting because, of course, we talk about the merry-go-round, don't we? We talk about the merry-go-round of once players start moving, it frees up funds for more clubs to start spending. And the interesting thing about this is Malik Tillman is one that a lot of people have talked about. For anyone that watches football across Europe, you'll know that Malik Tillman's a very good footballer. But Bayer Leverkusen are a club that are benefiting from selling a player for big money. You think Florian Wirtz was sold for 130, 140 million euros, whatever it was. They've already bought in Jarell Quansah at 35 million. Now they're looking at Malik Tillman at 35 million, 40 million euros. So we'll see. We'll see who else they bring in. But that's what I like, I'll be honest. I think at Spurs, we worry too much, and I get why we worry, but we worry about, well, if we sell that player, who are we going to bring in? These other clubs just seem to have plans. Excuse me. These other clubs just seem to have plans, don't they? Brighton are excellent at it. Big player goes, next 2, 3 come through the door. Bayer Leverkusen look like they're good at it. You know, big players gone, 2, 3 coming through the door immediately. And that's how clubs should work. In theory, that's how clubs should work. If X, Y, or Z goes, we can bring in A, B, or C. But not everybody does work that way. Good morning, Ash, my man. He thinks that Trafford will be the number one goalkeeper. Interesting. Because I was about to say, and then I've just seen this, Ash, a lot of people saying that Pope to Leeds is apparently a thing, and that apparently Leeds aren't happy with the progress or lack of that Melier has made. Now, I don't know if any of that is true, by the way. That's just what I read, just what I see. But this is going to be interesting. I like James Trafford as a keeper. It's going to be interesting to see if he does go there and become the number one. By the way, you lot, big up. Good morning. There's over 250 of you already. Only a fifth of you have smashed that like button. Only 53 likes. Smash that button. And the link to subscribe is pinned. So we are trying to get to the 19K, but it's a slow process at the moment. So please show some love there. Let's have a look if we move down. So Malik Tillman, James Trafford look like they're on the move. Man United, something to do with their academy. They've agreed a new 4-year deal with 16-year-old Gittens and Guehi as part of the academy. I don't know anything about him. 3 hours ago, Thomas Partey leaves Arsenal today as planned 10 days ago. His contract expires. Thomas will leave as a free agent and Christian Norgard will join the Gunners from Brentford. So Arsenal this window, Partey and Jorginho out, and Norgard and Zubimendi in. And of course, the Arsenal fans not happy about that because they want their forward. They want their striker. I understand where they're coming from. I mean, it's funny because they're our rivals. But as a football fan, you get it, right? They need strikers. They need forwards. I'm sure they're going to get them as well. And this is the difference. When you've got someone like Berta, deals are happening like this. But again, this isn't true. It will get reinvested into the team squad. This is a fallacy. It will get invested. What Brian means to say is, how will it get invested? Spurs spend money on players. I don't understand when we say that this money doesn't get spent. Spurs spend big money. So I don't understand when they say that. I'll speak to Brian about that. That's not true. Look how much money we spent last summer. It's 160 million, 170. The year before was 240. We spend money. The problem is, what do we spend it on? Big up to Bill. Big up to you. Big up to Kate. Hope you're doing well. Tillman, perfect replacement for Wirtz, and Leverkusen have money left to fix other positions. This is the way, Philly, I think most clubs should work. Unless you're a big club and you can just spend loads of money, right? Unless you're that big club, you've got to do that. You get big money in for your players, and then you go and buy 3 or 4. And, when I look at what these clubs do, they buy sensible players, solid players. I'd love a Malik Tillman at Spurs, for example. These clubs just seem to buy sensible footballers. Good morning to Andrew Kiddle. How you doing, bro? I said, morning, Savva. Good morning to you. Tillman plays in the 10, right? So that means Simmons could be on his way out. Mate, I have no idea. I mean, there's lots of talk. Every window, Xavi Simons seems to be the talk for lots of clubs. I would definitely take Xavi Simons in a heartbeat. At the moment, I'd take anyone. At the moment, I'm at the stage where I just want to see people get moving, Spurs get moving. As somebody just messaged me and said, just for your stream, Spurs do reinvest the money, but instead of buying 1 to 2 players, we buy 4 or 5. And that's the difference. The money does get reinvested. It does. This notion that Daniel Levy and Enoch do not spend is not true. And we can bring up transfer market and have a look at just how much money we do spend. There are things I will have a pop at Daniel Levy for. Lack of spending isn't one. Lack of spending in the right areas and at the right players. Now, that's a completely different conversation. I think people get blinded by their hate and don't actually look at the actual facts of it. And we all don't like Levy, or most people don't. But it is what it is. Big up to Geek to Back. I said, hi, Savva. Guehi deal's complete this week. Yeah, I reckon so. We'll get to Guehi in a minute. We'll get to Guehi because he's further down on Romano's list. But yeah, it looks like the Quansah deal is going to be wrapped up today. And then Liverpool move for the next centre-back. And that means Liverpool would have bought in Frimpong, Kirkes and Guehi at the back to replace Quansah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't think that's bad business at all. So fair play to Liverpool. They're moving. Good morning to Emma Morton. Good morning to you. Hope you're well. Good morning to Claire. We're starting to get more females into the chat. It's good. Let's diversify. More females. We're getting a lot more youngsters these days in the chat. I didn't think I was cool enough to have the youngsters in. Where are we? So Thomas Partey, if one more person, by the way, asks me, if one more person says, would you take Partey at Spurs? First and foremost, it's never going to happen. Second of all, bigger clubs are going to be in for him or he's going to go out to Saudi. And third but foremost, can you imagine Thomas Partey leaving Arsenal to join Spurs in the same window? It's not happening. So when people I've been asked it about 20 times in the last 2 days. Honestly, it's mad. Would you take Partey? Would you take Partey? What I am going to ask you all is, where do we think Thomas Partey's going to end up? See, I think somewhere like a Juventus, maybe, I don't know, somewhere like a Bayern Munich, a Juventus, Milan, although Milan are buying a lot of midfielders, Inter, be a perfect signing for Inter Milan. Where do you guys think that Partey's going to end up? See, I would like to think he goes to someone like Juventus, and then we can get a Douglas Luiz. I'd love a Douglas Luiz. Big up to you, my man. Big up to you. Spurs, Savva spend money badly and recruitment is so hit and miss. Absolutely. That's the right sentence. It's not that we don't spend money. It's that we spend it badly. Instead of buying 6 or 7 players, go and get 3. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to spend 150, 160 million in a window, go and get 3 that walk in the team and automatically we go, yeah, look how we strengthened. We don't. We go and get 6 or 7, don't we? And the money is spread out across loads and loads of hit and hopes. But hey, it is what it is. So let me know in the chat, where do you think Thomas Partey is going to end up? And by the way, we're diversifying our content in the morning shows, because until Spurs get going, it would be pretty drab, wouldn't it? So we've got to look at other clubs as well. Jail, hopefully. Gosh, he's not going to jail. Spurs Social said Thomas Partey is also on about a dozen rape charges who nobody seems to mention. Yeah, because we're talking about football. I don't want to bring this politics to here. Mine's a football channel. I'm not talking about all the other stuff. I don't care about all that. The authorities can deal with that. I'm talking about him as a footballer leaving as a free agent. Where should he go? There's always one funny one, isn't there, Anthony Clark? There's always one. Listen, I don't doubt that Thomas Partey would be Spurs' best midfielder. That's not a question. Thomas Partey's better than all our midfielders, probably rolled into one. But it's just not going to happen. I mean, first of all, the optics would look terrible. Brian's here. Brian, he's got his ears. His ears were listening. Big up, brother. Feel free to come on. So what I said is, it doesn't matter how much we get for Romero, as it will not be spent to bring in quality replacements for him, just like we did with Kane and Walker. Right. So that's very different to what someone said you said. Yes. Now, this I agree with. We know we'll spend it, Brian, and you are more than welcome to come on. I'm guessing it's ridiculously early for you in Canada, but you are more than welcome to come on. But yeah, listen, I completely agree with you. Guys, girls, can we stop, please, in the chat with the whole Thomas Partey to jail thing? It's one of you said it was funny, and now everyone's saying it. It's a little bit silly now. James AFC said Partey wants upwards of 250k a week. Arsenal said no. Spurs certainly won't pay. If there's a few things we can rely on in life, death, taxes, and Tottenham not paying over 250k for a footballer. But yeah, he is. He's a top player. There's no doubt. Thomas Partey's a top midfielder. Brian said we hardly ever replace our top players with this kind of quality that has left us. Look at Walker, 50 million for him. And rather than bringing in quality, we spend over double trying to replace him. And therein lies Tottenham Hotspur's trouble. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Bless me. I can feel the hay fever coming on, people. He's coming in strong. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. Spurs need, we need to bring in quality. We need to bring in quality. Absolutely, my man. I hope you're well. Oh, we've got Brian Daigle's coming in hot. He's going to make a coffee and then join us. That's good. Let's get him, Brian Daigle. Here we go. Hang on 1 second, people. Sorry, I've got I can't tell whether it's a cold or whether it's just hay fever. But I'm very bunged up. I'm very, very sniffly. 5:25 in the morning for Brian Daigle. Big up to my man Rick Kane, Russell Coyett. Thank you very much, and hopefully you got my email back last night. Thank you. Russell sent me a lovely email last night. It's nice. Every now and then I get nice. Oh, hang on. The wife's messaged me. When the wife messages you, you've always got to read it. Right, we can message back on that later. Right. So yeah, listen, I just want to apologies for using the R word, but please can we stop talking about those charges against Thomas Partey? That would be great. Thanks. Big up Russell. Sent me a really nice email last night. Very rare that I get nice emails saying nice things. So thank you very much. Will Spurs be able to compete in the Champions League? That's like me asking if I can go to a Hollywood A-list party and compete with Brad Pitt and Tom Hardy for female attention. No, I don't think so. I think that at the moment, Thomas Frank will be able to make us a good outfit. I think he'll be able to get us organised. I think he'll be able to get us looking respectable. But when I look at front threes of Tell, Solanke and Johnson, and then I look at midfields of Bentancur and Bergvall, it just doesn't scream Champions League. Not for me anyway. It doesn't scream Champions League for me. It might do for others. Where are we? Let's scroll down. So that's Thomas Partey. Let's scroll down. The next bit of news was 8 hours ago that Fab said he understands that Fenerbahce have made progress again in talks to sign John Duran. The deal is really getting closer. And for Duran at Al Nassr, the story is over. Now, this is an interesting one. He's been there a year. Did he go in January or was it the summer? It was the summer, wasn't it? So John Duran has left Aston Villa to go to Al Nassr. And then a year later, he's going to leave Al Nassr to go to Fenerbahce. Now, that's Jose's team, right? Fenerbahce. So, yeah. Am I right in that? God, why have I had a brain fart? Yeah, Jose Mourinho, yeah. Jose's team is Fenerbahce, isn't it? He's not Besiktas, is he? God, why has my brain gone blank? Jose Mourinho. Yeah, Fenerbahce. I don't know why I went blank there. So that's Jose Mourinho's team. And they've got a lot of work to do to try and catch up and keep up with Galatasaray. Interesting one. Really don't understand that. This guy already is going to have had 3 clubs in about 15 months. All seems a little bit strange. Daniela Stewart saying maybe that Thomas Partey goes to PSG. I can't see him fitting in with the way they play. Their midfield is very fluid, isn't it? When you look at Ruiz, Vitinha, Neves, it's very fluid. I'm not sure if he's that guy. Unbelievable. I'm misquoting Brian Daigle and he's coming on to get you. Big up to you. Where are we? Hay fever. I think it's hay fever. Yeah, it's just awful. I get it so bad. Where are we? Jermaine Cunningham. Hello, Jermaine. How you doing, mate? Said we're a selling club, not a buying club. For us to get a top player, we have to pay over the odds because why would a top player want to come to us? Look, I agree. I don't think top players come to us, but we have this conversation quite a lot. Hang on. Oh, look, we've got other guests that want to join. We've got I don't think we're going to get top players. For me, as I've always said, we should be looking at the next level down from the top class players. That's where we should be looking. But we don't seem to do that either. We seem to go always for the kids. And then half the fan base lose their mind because they've seen this kid in a compilation. And the other half of the fan base, like me, are screaming, no more kids. Stop buying kids. So that was John Duran. Let's scroll down to Bayern will face PSG in the World Cup quarterfinals. That's going to be interesting. And by the way, look who we've got. We've got James Flower in the house. How are you, James?
Very well, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just before I bring you in, just say the last one I was going to read out was an interesting one. Tammy Abraham has moved on a permanent deal from AS Roma to Besiktas. So it seems like there is money in Turkey. So Turkey, which somewhere to go to get your teeth done, get your hairline sorted out, and apparently a place to go if you're a top-level footballer now. How are you, mate? You good? We well?
Yeah, I'm well, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. Hay fever kicking my ass, me being a massive pussy right now. But other than that, I'm good. James, everyone's a bit restless at Spurs. And I suppose it doesn't help when you wake up to lots of different reports that Romero's leaving and Takai's coming in. So people are putting the 2 and 2 together of, is this the Romero replacement?
I've said it before. I've said it on quite a few shows now. I think that Danso is my replacement. I know people want this Rio Ferdinand or that kind of fancy down on the ball, and I'm not saying that he wasn't a good defender, but there's something about a Danso that I really, really like. I'm not focusing on the pass after. I'm focusing on winning that header. No one's going to beat me to the header. Let me do my job first. And then what I'm hoping Frank is going to do is, for example, Danso wins that header. The ball falls to Bentancur. Bentancur then takes that step forward and allows Danso to be Danso and allow Bentancur to be Bentancur. Because even though Romero, look, I think he's fantastic, delivering those through balls to Son, I think he got more assists than any other defender. So we will lose that part, but I think his replacement in doing that is James Maddison anyway. So I personally just want our defenders to defend, our midfielders to do their job, and our attackers to do their job. And Danso, for me, is a proper defender.
Yeah, I think, do you know, when we talk about this, I think there's two ways of looking at it, right? You get the ones that go, well, hang on, Romero's there, Danso's there, right? Which I don't think is unfair to say. But then you get the people going, well, hang on, but the system will be different. The setup's going to be different. We're not going to be playing that high line where we're expecting the centre-backs to be foraging into central midfield. Therefore, if you've got a bit more of a solid back four, Danso is that solid back four defender. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and it's also probably fair to say that Dragusin could be that defender. I haven't seen a lot from him, but let's not forget he's still at the club. He could be that defender. So this is why, for me personally, I'm not overly mad with Ben Davies if he stays a year or if he goes, because I like Dragusin and I like Danso. I just don't think that they've ever had a fair crack of the whip. I think it's always been, you're in now until Romero's back. And it's the same with Spence. I think Spence done really well. But even Ange come out and said, you're in now until a doggy comes back. It's kind of one of those, I personally would like my defenders to defend and then leave the rest to the other players.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think we seem to have got to an era of football fans where we don't look at what people's main jobs are anymore. Let me give you some examples. With goalkeepers, we seem to have forgotten what they're there to do. They're there to dominate their box, stop the ball going in the goal, and to clear out their area, right? When that corner kick comes in, I want mine coming out, right? Now we concentrate on, can they play with their feet? How good are they with the ball at their feet? Centre-backs, we seem to forgot about how good they are in the air, how much they like the tackle, the block they're getting in, throwing their body on the line, and we talk about, can they bring the ball out? Centre forwards, he presses, he works hard, sure, but did he put that little bit of leather into the net? You know, that's the era we're in, James, isn't it? Are we forgetting people's jobs?
Absolutely, and this is why I'm a massive fan of Vicario, because I think anyone taking shots at Vicario, 9 times out of 10, I'll back him to save them. Like, if you're talking shots to save ratio, he's excellent. The other thing I would say is you never really see Vicario and Van der Ven making mistakes. It's always Vicario and Romero. And for me, they're both shaky in the air. Whereas Van der Ven always backs out and allows Vicario to come and collect. Whereas Romero always goes for every ball in the air, and so does Vicario. So for me, I mean, like what you're saying, players being players, I'm finally glad that Harry Kane is getting the recognition that he deserves. Everyone's talking about his 40 goals a season, and his goals yesterday were just absolutely mustard. But we've been seeing that all season for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not comparing him to anybody, but that for me, I don't think there's anyone better in the world at doing his job, and his job is to put that ball in the back of that net. 40 goals this season, he's absolutely mustard at it.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, the Harry Kane point leads us on nicely to the introduction of Brian Daigle at 5:36 in the morning out there in Canada. Morning, Brian.
Good morning, lads, and good morning, everyone in the chat. Hope you're all good.
Good.
Morning, mate.
From now on, I'm going to misquote everything you say just because it will be funny.
No, do you know what? Activon was on the right lines. It just didn't come out right. Like I was saying,
I know.
When it comes to Romero, what I was saying is it doesn't matter how much we get for him, it won't go back into a defender to replace him. I know what James was saying about Danso. I love Danso, but whenever Spurs lose a big name player, you said it. I'll give you the perfect example, Savva. You were the very first person, and I completely agreed with you when you said Spurs bought the Kane replacement a season earlier. It's what they did with Richarlison.
Yeah.
How is Richarlison in any? You look when we all talk about Liverpool selling Coutinho and then bringing in two quality players. Tell me a time when Spurs have cashed in and replaced it with genuine quality. I mean, quality that walks in and goes, "That's those positions sorted." Danso, whoever comes in, I think Danso's a very good player. Like James said, defends. But if you were going to say, no, the replacements come in before they go, and they're not of the quality. And then the money comes in, and like you said, with Tottenham, like I always say, it's quantity over quality.
Brian, let me ask you this. Again, we're just playing hypotheticals because in the Spurs transfer window, we love a hypothetical because...
Oh, we do.
Chelsea fans don't play hypotheticals. They buy a new player for every day of the transfer window, and they get loads of fun. I mean, today they're signing two, right? So I'm not swearing. That my end, that is not swear. They buy two. Sorry, They buy two. If I was to say to you, right, Romero goes 60, 70 million, whatever it is, and Spurs don't buy another centre back, but we do go out and get an Eze and a Paulinho. So we go with the centre halves we've got with Van der Ven and Danso and Dragashin and Davis and Takai. But we buy those two and we upskill in other areas. Would you be comfortable with that as a process?
100%. That's what I'd want to see. If we got rid of a Romero, could it help finance those two? Bring it on. Right now, bring it on. But the thing is, it doesn't, does it? That's the thing.
No, of course. It's a hypothetical reason, right?
It's a great hypothetical, Savva. It's a wonderful hypothetical.
I also think, though, that fans don't push Levy like some of us do. Because by that, I mean, again, I love the guy, Lubo. You can't be praising all these kids for coming in and then be complaining that you're not signing the players that we should be signing. So if we sell Romero, if we sell Romero and buy Guehi, what's his name? The centre back from Palace, Guehi. Say for example we did that, I'd be ecstatic. But what about the three young lads that we've got coming back? You need to make that decision. Are you going to be a club to bring through players, or are you going to say, well, Guehi's 24, so he's here for the next 6-7 years. You've got kids that are now 18 that are going to be 24, 25. What's the plan? For me, all day, every day, I'd bring in the quality and leave the kids and loan them out and sell them for whatever we can. But that's not the way to go forward. If you're a big club, you need to be making some money on sales.
I mean, isn't the answer already in the club, guys? I agree with you, James. I completely agree with you. But isn't the answer in the club when you look at it? In the last few windows, I mean, this January we bought in Danso. The January before we bought in Dragashin. Van der Ven came in the window before that. Takai's coming in this window. You've got Phillips, Dorrington, and Vuskovic. If you want to go down that route of playing the non-pubescent players. isn't the answer there? Like what I think we do. I think if Romero goes, I think what he'd do is, and by the way, I don't think it would be a bad centre-back pairing. I think it would be Van der Ven and Danso.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think what we do is we'd have Dragoshin, Vuskovic and Takai as the three behind that, with the money going in elsewhere. I'm not completely against that, guys, if we play a back two. If you play the back three, now I'm not so sure.
I don't think he's going to play a back three all the time. I think he will be an adapting game. Let's go to a back three, or, for example, City away or something like that. So I think he can make do. And that's why what you said there is why I'm not against selling Ben Davies for one more season, because it gives the other lads another season to learn off of him. And then you've got 4 backup centre-backs. Like, how many more do you need? Unless you're going to sell a Dragoshin or someone like that, then I'm desperate, personally. I'm almost like a school child. At the moment now, there is not one Spurs player that I would go, I want him on the back of my shirt. My son, he's got the 2 new shirts from THGate. One was plain and one was with his name. I said, do you want any players? He's like, nah, they're all rubbish. So, like, I want a player where I can go, I'm looking forward to it. Wait till he gets the ball. And Eze. I said, if you're going to push the boundaries, try go for someone like Doku. I don't think we will get him, but they've got a lot of wingers now, City. If you threw in a £40 million bid, they may say, you know what, Cherky's in, we'll let him go. Somebody to get us off of our seat is what I'm desperate for, or 2 of them, to be honest, for both wings. Right. So if he sold Romero and went, Romero's replacement is Eze, and we're going to get Semedo and then a Paulinia, for me, he could finish the transfer window there. I'm happy. I'm good to go.
I will say, Savva, with the defenders you mentioned, I don't understand why we're trying to get rid of Ashley Phillips. Out of all those, I honestly don't get it. He's had 2 great loans in the Championship, or Plymouth, both in the Championship and Stoke. He's had those loans. He deserves, if there's a defender that deserves to stay, it's him. Vuskovic comes in, still needs to adapt to English football. Send him out on loan to the Championship. Send Takai out on loan to the Championship. I think Ashley Phillips is a wonderful. I honestly, when we signed him, I put a tweet out, said the year's 2029 and Ashley Phillips is the captain of Tottenham Hotspur. That's how I honestly, and I think he is one that I think if we get rid of him, it's stupid. But obviously, right. Frank knows what he wants.
I think let's before pre-Frank, I think we missed a trick with Phillips in the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, we've had injuries galore at centre-half. Yep. We've had centre-back crisis galore. And yet, both years, he's not been there getting minutes. And instead, in year 1, when we had the injuries, it was Emerson Royale, Ben Davies and Dyer getting minutes there. And this year, it was Archie Gray getting minutes there.
Yep.
2 perfect years where we could have said, you know what, let's have a look at Phillips. All right, Ashley, you've got 10 games in the first team now at centre-half. Show us if you're good enough or not. Because judging Archie Gray as a centre-back is difficult because he's not a centre-back. Phillips is. That should be nice for him to step into. But the problem you've got, Brian, as we said, you've got Dorrington, Vuskovic and Phillips, and you've now got Takai.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got 4 of them that I believe are all 20 and under. If I'm not wrong, Takai's 20, Phillips must be.
Phillips, let me have a look. I think he's 21.
21. You've got Dorrington, who's, I think, a teenager, and Vuskovic, we know, is 18. First of all, if I'm a centre-back in any of the Spurs youth teams below them lot, I'm thinking, sod this, I'm moving. But there is no pathway at all. But second of all, how do you get any of them game time this year? And who's the pecking order? Like, do we even know? Has Takai come in and gone? I don't know.
Phillips turned 21 4 days ago. So he turned 21 4 days ago. Phillips turned 21 4 days ago.
So you got Phillips 21, Takai 20. I
think 20. My maths. 2005. 20. He turned 20.
20. Dorrington, I think, is 19, 20, and then we know Vuskovic is 18. What's the pecking order for these 4?
Well, this is why I'm not mad that none of them have gone and no one's come in, because everybody sits there and says, well, let's back Frank. Let's see what Frank wants. Well, no one is back from pre-season yet. So how do we know what's what? Unless they're all back, for me, you have to give it time. I think they're all coming back this week or next week. Is it this next week they're coming back? So
week.
I'm hoping. Listen. We can all hope. I'm hoping Frank said no. I want to see these players. I want to see. Here you go, Brian. This one's for you. I want to see Devine. Is Devine anywhere near James Maddison? Is he can he be James Maddison's backup? Who knows? For me, I'm okay to wait with certain aspects. If Son has said I want to leave, then you need to get an Eze in now, regardless.
No.
I think if Romero's leaved, he's going to got that young lad in, which would make sense now to sort of push him out. I think the calendar of the year starts tomorrow. Players start coming back. I'm going to give it like a week or so's grace before we sign anyone. After that, then there needs to be some signings coming in. They need to be there, ready to go for pre-season.
Well, the worrying thing is I was going to send this to myself. I forgot. I saw this yesterday. It was the it's not the height of journalism, but it was that Ali Gold yesterday said that Tottenham are trying to make deals happen. By the way, Brian, if ever there was a Spursy sentence, it is this. Right?
Oh, the buzzword bingo. I know what you're about to say.
Tottenham are trying to make deals happen, but they've not been able to so far. Now, I mean, first of all, that's not news. Second of all, what do you mean trying to make deals happen? Sunderland have just bought some midfielder for 35 million quid. Right? Sunderland have just bought a left back from Atletico Madrid. Sunderland.
You should email him back or message him back saying, I'm trying to pay my season ticket, but it's not quite getting over the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to pay my mortgage. I'm sorry, Halifax. I just can't quite do it this month. It's a bit crazy though, guys, isn't it? Like trying, monitoring. I know Brian absolutely loves Spurs bingo. He loves the bingo.
I'm the bingo master, mate. I'm the bingo caller.
But honestly, what I don't like doing, I'm not one that I don't like looking at other clubs and going, well, they've done it, why can't we? But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. If Sunderland can do it, right? Brighton signed that young Greek striker who's meant to be all the business. They're buying players, right? Sunderland are buying players. Leeds bought someone last week. How on earth are Tottenham Hotspur not able to get players? Who is it we're going for? Messi? Are we trying to sign Kvaratskhelia? Why can't we get them over the line?
I'll tell you one thing, James, like you were saying just before, I think I agree with you that he needs to come in and see the players, but there's certain positions, i.e. right wing, that we know we know we need a defender. We need a right winger. There are certain positions where everyone knows we're lacking in that department and we need. But I get what you're saying about they have to come in and he has to assess them. But Thomas Frank is a clever man.
Yeah,
he will have seen, and since that time he will be looking at data and analytics and videos and everything. There is no doubt that Spurs or he knows what he wants. And you got to remember, there's players that he couldn't get at Brentford, i.e. Bakayoko, who he loved, that were walking to this football team. That he can actually achieve and get, you'd say, at Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur should be able to attract, pay the fee and the wages for a Bakayoko that Brentford couldn't get over the line for whatever reason. So there's certain areas where Spurs do need strengthening immediately. And I think right wing is probably, we all know we want a number 6, but I think the key thing we need is a right winger more than anything right now. And we don't have one at the club.
Could I play devil's advocate and say he wants to look at Odegaard?
You could do.
Could he be thinking? I'm not saying he's good enough, but could he be saying there's Odegaard there and then Brennan Johnson if need be? Could he be saying on the left side we've got Tell and Mikey Moore? Could he be? I don't think that's good enough, but could he be thinking, let me see these guys first? We're all jumping to conclusions and say sign players, and he might be going, I don't even know what I've got yet.
But didn't Thomas Frank said that, you know, when he sat down with the club, they gave him his demands and he gave them his as well. Sorry, they gave him theirs, and he gave them his. Look, I think Bride's right. I think Thomas Frank's an astute man. I think he's somebody that goes and does his homework, his scouting team, his recruitment team, his analysts. They would know from playing Spurs down the years who's the one they like at Spurs, who's the one they're not. He keeps mentioning the same players quite a lot, which tells the story. I think he mentions Bentancur a lot. I think you can see that Bentancur is going to be a first name on the sheet for him.
He hasn't signed the contract though, Savva. Is there something going on there? Because he still hasn't signed that contract.
He's still on holiday, though.
Speak to Frank when he comes back from holiday, right? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But the thing is, someone made a good point on the Spurs Review last night and said, we all say, yeah, we need a winger. We need a right winger. We need a left winger. What if he doesn't want to play that way? What if he wants to use Udogie and Porro as the width and wants more attacking midfielders like Damsgaards that he had at Brentford, players like that? Maybe he wants to get Kulu and Maddison into
That's
the team.
what I was about to say.
More in the middle behind. I guess the problem is we don't know this at the moment. But what we do know is no matter what the position is, James, the squad needs strengthening. No matter who we talk about, defence, midfield, attack, the squad needs strengthening no matter who the manager is.
Unfortunately, I like to, how I would say it is, the boy that cried wolf. We have seen this situation hundreds of times where Daniel Levy bottles it and does nothing, unfortunately. So now the window's been open a week or two. Frank hasn't met his players and we're all going, we know what's going to happen here. It happens every year, blah, blah, blah. But before the season started, Frank come in, we would have said Frank needs to see what he's got first and then we go from there. So unfortunately, we know how Daniel Levy works. So we're all got our backs up going, we've seen this before.
Correct.
But in fairness, I can speak for myself. I want Frank to look at everybody in his squad and say, yep, nope, yep. And even if that means someone I don't rate, Brennan Johnson, I really don't rate him. I think he's terrible on the ball. I think he's a good finisher, but I think he's terrible on the ball. If he decides to play him in the number 10 or him in the number 9 and Solanke in the number 10, I'm all for it. I'm going to give Frank, like we were just saying, Frank knows what he's talking about. So we need to let him see what he's seen before he makes that decision. He may see Kulu and go, nah, you're too slow on the ball. I want Damsgaard. I want whoever. So we're right to kick our toys out of pram because we've seen it before, but also we do need to let Frank do his job and check what he's got first before writing every off.
Sure, but the problem with that theory, and again, devil's advocate, the problem with that theory is how long does he need? So he comes in and he needs a month. Let's say he leads, the players are all coming back this week, right at the end of this week, I believe. So Thomas Frank has a month of training them. Excuse me, something's gone down the wrong hole. He's got a month of training them. Now all of a sudden we're going, right, you've got August to sort this shit out. You've got August to get the players in, get them integrated, get them on pre-season tour and be ready for the opening day of the season. When you look, these other clubs aren't doing that. These other clubs are going now. They're in, they're ready. They're playing in World Club Cups. They're going to be here ready for pre-season tours. That's always the worry, right?
Yeah, but none of those have swapped managers, in fairness. None of them have got a new manager coming in straight away. And also, just to finish this, then you go, Bright. I think, like we're saying, if we're saying Thomas Frank is a smart man and knows what he's talking about, within 1 week he's going to know who can play that role and who can't. He's not going to need a month, I would like to think. Like you said, he's already kept an eye on the Bentancurs. He knows James Maddison. Everyone knows James Maddison and the likes of that. So for me, I think it's pretty much get everybody in, see if they can play the number 6, the number 8. Is he going to go for 2, which I believe 2 number 8s, a Bentancur and someone in Savva's favourite word, the double pivot. So for me, I would I'm open to give it 1 more week because I want Frank to see what he's got first. But then the end of next week, I want us to be saying, right, Frank wants Eze. Eze's in.
James, you got to realise as well, when Ange came in, by this time in his first season, Vicario and Maddison were through the door. 2 big players to come in immediately before training started to go, right, here you go. This is some of us. This is kind of where we're going with this. All right, yeah, you can say we had the K money or whatever. But when new managers have come in, they've had players on the first day of training. I'm not including Dan's Hotel because they were, and obviously Takai. There were two key players at the Spurs training ground. Bang, signed through the door, ready for the first day of training. And then with the training as well, it's not just about getting them in so they can get trained up. They've got to integrate with the team. They've got to go on pre-season tour. They've got to try and do everything when they get down here, finding a house, blah, 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 blah. There's been time to do this. Frank's been in the door a couple of weeks now. Obviously, he had to came back from his holiday. I just can't have it that people go, yeah, we need to see what he wants to see what he's got. I'm sure every single manager comes in the same way, but he knew Lloris was on the way out and we needed a replacement. Bang, in. Knew we needed a number 10 of a decent stature. Bang, James Maddison's in. But now for this manager, it's like, no, we need to wait and see what it's what we do as a football club. This is what we do as a football club.
Playing devil's advocate, could it be Frank's fault for not being strong? Frank's fault for not being strong and adamant enough?
Who knows?
If every manager's come in and gone, no, I want Maddison, Vicario, I want blah 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 blah. Has Frank come in and gone, yeah, okay, well, let's see what we can do then? Is it Frank's fault?
Maybe.
Again,
maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe, but if I was to say who am I going to blame and who's got the track record of doing things like this, I'll base it off 24 years of evidence and 16 managers, 17 being Frank, obviously, over. That's why I could be, though. It could be. It honestly could be, James, what you said. But based on what we can go off, I put it, funnily enough, you'd never guess this, but I'm going to blame Daniel Levy. I fancy doing something different today. It's so early in the morning. It's only 6 a.m. and I'm blaming Levy already. So it's a good day. It's a good day when I can blame Levy for something before 6 a.m.
Can I just ask, mate, Spurs would have been talking to Frank for a long time, right? Let's be fair. This didn't happen in the 2 weeks between winning the Europa League and not. We were talking to Frank a long time before. There would have been conversations, guys, about what ideas have you got? What type of players would you need? Are there any names? So that for me is the interesting thing to see.
Great.
Thomas Frank knows the Spurs squad. Yeah, some of the youngsters he might want to look at that he doesn't know. But let's be fair, he knows Brennan Johnson. He knows Bentancur. He knows Sarr. He knows Maddison. So I just fail to believe that he needs to come in and look at, I don't know. I just feel like something's not right. It just feels like, are we selling in the background to Brian's delight? I don't know. Like something feels like it's happening.
I have to say, Stanley Kush has nailed it as well. Do you remember Frank also said that he doesn't have the final say in transfers?
Yes.
He'll assist with what he wants. So, again, going by what Frank said, where's the blame lie?
The one positive, he brought his stats guy with him, didn't he? Did he?
Yep.
So
Justin
that's
Cochran,
another
massive.
So that's another thing. It's like, well, there's no excuses if the stat guy is there saying, right, I need a guy to press for 90 minutes. These are stats. Then we should. I've got, like I said, I'm happy to give him another week because I would like Frank to get in and meet the players. But there's certain players for me that I would just go out and get a guy that I've wanted for years is Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund, and I think that's a gettable deal. I think Borussia are better than us, but someone like that, electrifying pace, good finishing, beats his man every single time. I would love to see someone like Adeyemi come in. Him and Eze, and then, like you said, a number 6. When you're talking of that caliber of player, for me, this is where I would stand. So, for example, you're going to bring in Adeyemi, who would be my first choice on the left wing. It doesn't matter who your manager is, that they could get a tune out of somebody like that. They're good enough to play in 99% of your tactics, your roles, your formation. So, for me, if you are looking at your Adeyemi's, your Eze's, it don't matter who you've got in charge. They should be able to get a tune. And if they can't, i.e. Ange, then they need to go.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree, but at the same time, I'm all over the place at the moment with Spurs. I genuinely, you know, we do this dance every year, and you'd think we'd be used to it, but every year my head is frazzled by what we do. The worrying thing for me, gentlemen, is this. The worrying thing is when other clubs are talking to players, like if you look right now, when Chelsea were talking to Pedro, right, and Bino Gittens, it's out, it's there, isn't it? Everyone's reporting it. They're in talks. They're 5 million away, 10 million away. We're not even in talk. This is what worries me. And if we are the best club in the world at keeping it quiet because normally these things get out. We don't seem to be in talks with any footballers. So it's not, when we're saying we can't get things over the line, are we even trying to get in it? Like, is there even a line in sight? Is there even a player being talked to? For me, we're the equivalent at the moment of yesterday morning, myself and the wife, we went down to our local village and we had some brunch. Very, very sophisticated. We had some brunch, right? Don't knock, we had some brunch. And as we walked past the estate agent window, and this village, by the way, I couldn't afford to live there. It's like, you know, it's just so nice. As we walked past the estate agent window, I went, cool, look at that 8-bedroom house. That's nice. And it's got a pool. And it was like 4 million or something. That's the equivalent of me going, yeah, I can't quite get that deal over the line. Yeah, I'm not in fucking talks for it. I can't afford it. That's Spurs. We're looking in estate agent windows, guys.
We are the easiest club for the so-called ITKs to report on. Because ITK could say, right, we're going to sign Lionel Messi. It'll have 5 million shares and Spurs fans will be talking about every player under the sun that they signed and they're going to be here next week. It's the easiest club to report on. Because if there's nothing, just report anyway.
James, you bastard. It's not my birthday, for fuck's sake. Guys, give it a rest. My birthday is 22nd of June. It wasn't this Sunday just gone. It was the Sunday before. Thank you. People are doing this.
Everybody in the chat right now. Happy birthday, Brian. Everybody, let's get some birthday wishes going.
Oh,
Happy
Jesus
birthday.
Christ. My God, I've had more birthdays than God knows. I think if I'd had my birthdays counted, I think I'd be about 63 now. I think I'd be
Spurs in a summer transfer window.
Yeah.
63. Sorry, James. Sorry, James, as you were. Sorry.
I forgot what I was saying now. No, the ITKs. Yeah, when you think, they just bring up a random name. Every Spurs fan goes, I'm an ITK, share it. It's just, yeah, it's nonsense. They know that they've got with Tottenham.
Well, James, look at it. None of them got the Japanese guy, did they? None of them got Taki. Not one of them.
Taki. Ain't they like crisps?
That's all. Whatever to Taki. My apologies. Okay, there you go. Mate, listen, my name. Look, it's 6 in the morning, people.
Do you know why? I'm guessing with that one, though. And I don't know this. This is Savva guesswork. I'm guessing that Takai's agent isn't in the circle. Do you know what I mean? I'm guessing that this isn't a mainstream thing. So, for example, when Pedro is in talks with Newcastle and Chelsea, I'm guessing that's being leaked left, right, and centre to absolutely everybody, and it's out there. I'm guessing Takai at 5 million with his agent isn't a big deal. That's just me.
Could be.
That's just me. I don't know.
Well, the other thing, it could be the opposite, as in Eze agent coming out and saying Spurs are in linked, Arsenal are in linked. And by doing that, he's putting his player physically on the transfer market saying, come and get him. So it could even work in the opposite direction, as in his agent is saying, here you go. And we're still not going out there.
Come on, James. Everyone's got to respond to Mr. Box Office. Come on. Doesn't want to hear you moaning, mate. No moaning, James.
What if we don't sign a player till next week? I won't moan. Listen, I'll tell you a stat about Mr. Box Office, shall I? He said live on every single stream, I will be fully behind Ange and Daniel Levy when Ange goes through a bad spell and they back him. So, Mr. Box Office are calling Ange out at the end of last season. You got what you wanted. He went through a bad spell, the board backed him, and you flip-flopped and still wanted Ange out. Balls in your court, Alex.
Oh, Mo.
Flip-flop.
Mo, there's 612 people in here and 161 likes. Guys, 612. We should have 350, 400 likes. Smash that like button, please. Much appreciated. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed. We're edging closer to the 19,000, but it's always when you're about to get to a milestone, it seems to just drag that last little bit. And the bad news, Brian.
Yep.
I just tried to order a McDonald's breakfast and it told me I was 1 minute too late for breakfast.
I'll order it for you. I'll order it for you, mate. But you can't.
My soul. I got right the way. So when I started pressing, I want to whatever I wanted, it allowed me. And then by the time I got to pay, it had shut off past 11 a.m.
Mate, you've made me want to get a McGriddle now. You don't get McGriddles back home. McGriddle is basically the bacon and egg McMuffin, but instead of the muffin, it's 2 pancakes with maple syrup. It is absolutely banging. That's going to be
what was your order, Savva? Let's judge it. What was your order?
It wasn't anything too crazy. It was just a sausage and egg McMuffin meal
Nice.
with hash brown and then an extra hash brown on top and a hot chocolate. That's all it was going to be. And then it was
Nice.
like, would you like this instead? And looking at a Big Mac at 11 a.m. doesn't quite, do you know what I mean? If I'm going to get a burger, I can go somewhere better than Mackie D's. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, hang on. I'm seeing people say this. This is not what Savva said in any way, shape or form. What I did say half of this. I said that Thomas Partey is better than all our midfielders. I don't think that's a stretch. I genuinely think Thomas Partey would be the best midfielder. I also said he's not coming to Tottenham, and I never said I want him at Tottenham. I said it's not going to happen. So please, can we not have these things that float around the internet like we said it when it's not true? Let's not do that. Guys, I want to talk about a player that we are heavily linked with again, right? Is Jacob Ramsey of Aston Villa. Now, I like Jacob Ramsey. I think he's a good footballer, right? Now, hear the tone in my voice. I think he's a good footballer. I don't think he moves the needle. I think he's a good player. I think he can play multiple positions. But again, it feels lazy. It feels like, I don't know if there's any truth in it, but if there is that a lazy link for Tottenham?
Go on, James.
This is what I just said about ITKs. When there's nothing to post, they just pick a random name and they go for it. It was the same for a few years. Him, Conor Gallagher. It's the same people, just refreshed. Like, oh, we need to get more likes, subs, whatever on our column. Share that. Ping, gone, done. I like him. I said last season I like him. The one thing I would say is he's better than Sarr, but they're the same kind of player, as in workhorses. So I don't see why you would keep Sarr on if you're going to bring a Ramsey. You'd need to sell Sarr to replace him with a Ramsey. But also, I don't know what you guys think. I'm sick and tired of being sort of linked with these kind of above average players. He's good. He's a good player, but is he going to take us to Champions League level? Absolutely not.
Agreed. But then again, like I've said, this season, if a signing comes in, what Frank has done with developing players, I'm going to accept them because he can. That's his main strength. But he would not be on my hit list of players to bring in. Put it that way.
But also, you're putting a lot of pressure and stress on Frank there to turn everybody from liquid to wine. You can do it for one or two.
I said,
no, I'm not saying. I'm just, I'm not saying like he's in it.
That's why I wanted him, because he develops players. I'm not saying it's going to work with every single player, but if Frank has seen something in him, then fine. Frank has seen something in him, or his coaching staff or whatever have seen something in him. I personally wouldn't be a player, like I said, that I'd go for. But once again, like you said, the thing is, you look at this and you have to say this is another club signing, because once again, it's just the same links for the same players going over and over again, and we don't get them in. So is it a manager or a club signing?
Can I ask you, though, what if, hypothetical alert, I should have a little buzzer that goes off, hypothetical alert.
Like the breaking news.
I asked this question last night on my show. We talk a lot, and as fans, we always are judge, jury, and executioner, right, on whether a player is a manager signing or a club signing. What if Thomas Frank has said, do you know who I really like? I really like the look of Jacob. I'm just hypothetical. Yeah. I really like the look of that Jacob Ramsey. For me, I don't think they get the best out of him at Villa. I can turn him into X, Y, Z. The problem you've got is twofold. One, we've already judged. Right? We've already judged two things. One, don't like the player. Two, Levy's not backed the manager.
Yeah.
When it could be that Levy has backed the manager because the manager said, hey, I like this guy. So I always feel like we've got to be really careful with certain signings to say this manager's not been backed, this manager. It's such a subjective term, isn't it? Backed. Like backed.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
On that, you're right. On that, you're completely right. Because we look at it, and even going through the Algeria, he wanted Van der Ven, he wanted Vicario. Vicario came in before him. He wanted Solanke, he wanted Johnson. So they came in. And like you said, that you're right in that part. You're right in that part. The only reason I keep saying that this could be a club signing is obviously it's the same links for the same players that have gone on over time and over managers. So you start look. That's why I lean more towards that way. But you're absolutely right, Savva. Thomas Frank could come in and say, player X, Y, Z, we've been linked with for years. Bring him in. I can actually do something with him. You're right. You're completely right there. But like he does it said, yeah, we've been linked with Ramsey for 2 years. For 2 years we've been linked with him, and then you're like, right, okay. So, and the thing is, we know that Frank and Ange play completely different systems, completely different styles. So if it was still Ange and we were in for him, you're like, okay, Ange likes to play a blah blah blah. Now it's a different manager that plays a completely different style. Does he fit? Does he fit, or do we have like James mentioned with Pape Sarr? Is it just another player? Is it stockpiling in another position just to stockpile rather than bringing real quality? Like I said, I mean, the big thing I was talking about it on Dan's show. I saw you when I briefly watched it yesterday. When you look at Harvey Elliott, not talking about him coming to Spurs. This is what big clubs do. Liverpool, he was brilliant for Liverpool. Has won the Premier League with them. Was playing in the Champions League. They have brought in players, top quality players as champions, and they said, Harvey Elliott, we've got these players in. Where our standard was now, it's gone up. You're not there. We need to cash in on you. And we're going to sell you for 40, 50 million. That's what Liverpool do. They bring in pure quality and then say, right, the quality we've got isn't good enough. Let's get them out for big money. We don't do that.
This is what I was saying earlier. Top players can be managed by most top players can be managed by most top managers. So for me, I want to see. I'm so done with, and I'm not saying he's a bad player, but like the likes of Jacob Ramsey, those caliber of players. I don't want any of them. I want 2 or 3 50, 60 million pound players, and that is it. I think we've got the squad. I think Bissouma, if he decides to stay, could be a sub. I think he could do a job. Why are we going to kind of bring in somebody? For me, Jacob Ramsey is on Bissouma and Bentancur's level, slightly above, slightly. I think they've got different things from each of them. Why are we going to bring another player in the same kind of bracket? All right, he may be able to get 10% more. Okay, fair enough. But we're going to spend 30, 40 million on 10% more. Why don't we just go, you know what? I'm going to buy an Eze, who Eze over Son is 50% more. So that's where I'm looking. I'm not looking for he's 5 or 10% better. Our squad is average. We need to start getting a good squad together to be competing against PSG, against Barcelona, against Bayern Munich. Like these clubs, you give them a chance, they'll score. I think we need 3 or 4 chances to score. Like that's the change.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, listen, I'm seeing links, nothing concrete has been known, no Plettenberg or Ornstein or Romano, but again, it is a name, like Brian said, that came out last season. It looks like it's coming out again this season. And I'm guessing you're always going to get it right. You're going to look at, right, who buys these types of players? Spurs. Do Villa need to sell players? Yes. It all feels a little bit convenient. But the more worrying thing for me, guys, is we just don't even, we genuinely don't seem to be linked with anyone. Like, I don't know about you guys. I'm bored of Eze link now. I either want Eze to sign or for him to just go somewhere. Like, I'm so nothing against him, but it's been done to death now that apparently Eze and Buemo are the only players in the world that Tottenham Hotspur fans want to sign. Realistically, what sort of signings should we be making? Realistically, what should we be making with this squad?
With what you said there, for me, there was players like Pedro, who, for me, I was so excited to get him in. And it went on to the end of the transfer window. I was like, couldn't even care anymore. And then the whole Pedro Porro's in was like, I didn't care. I was like, I'm bored of it. Same with Eze. If Eze comes in now, there'll be a bit of me like, oh, thank you. But it's not as exciting as if it was 2 weeks ago. If it was 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, wow, we've made a point there. We're statement signing. Here we go. Now I feel like it's just dragged it all out. But for your question is in who should we be signing? Mm-hmm. I think we should be competing with Villa, the Newcastles, Semedo's, Adiemis, those people that are in the Champions League, want to play in the Premier League. Like Adeyemi, we could probably tempt him with, well, I'd like to think wages, the Champions League. Things like that is where we should be looking at. Not top of the top, but, yeah, along those lines.
Look, I think you've got to look at this. So when you say who should we be going for, I think a player like Paulinho, for example, just ticks so many boxes for what we need. Does he come in and know the Premier League? Does he have experience? He just ticks so many boxes. Whether Frank's going to play with just a one number 6 for him to do it is another thing. But there are players out there that in the mould we need to fit. Like we've all said, we don't need to spend £80 million on every player, 60, 70, whatever. There are players out there which teams show over and over again that can be found, but we just don't do it. Look at the guy, I can never say his name, the guy at PSG that was at Napoli, however you pronounce his name. Yeah. Players like that we've had so many times and we haven't pulled the trigger because of whatever and then they've gone on to rip-roaring success. There's just so many players out there that could potentially, Spurs will be a big pull for them. And not at 80, like I said, doesn't always have to be the big money signings. It just has to be smart signings. And we just don't do it. We hit and hope. And if you buy cheap, you buy twice. And that's what Spurs continuously do.
Do you know what, Brian? I think the nail on the head. I've said this sentiment for ages. I know that whenever I ask people who they want, they automatically go to players that I think, oh, you're being unrealistic. I want sensible signings. That's why I look at a player like a Harvey Elliott and go, yeah, you've got experience now. You can play multiple positions. You're a good player. It makes sense. You're not going to cost the world. I look at people like Paulinho not getting game time at Bayern Munich and think, surely even you could get a deal for a loan for a year. Surely. I look at Semenyo's powerful wide man that scores goals, gets assists, knows the Premier. But I feel like even as Spurs fans, I feel like if we got players like that, we still feel like it's going to be underwhelming because I think we do think we're a little bit more attractive than we are. I get told off for this, guys. I just think our fan base think we're as attractive as Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea. And City. I don't think we are. Well,
I said it a little while ago on a few shows ago. I think this is the easiest transfer window that Daniel Levy will ever have. Say, for example, we don't go for Paulinho. Fair enough. Well, what about Douglas Luiz, who they're trying to get rid of? I would take him in a heartbeat. I heard that they were trying to offer him to Sunderland or something. Heartbeat. That guy becomes our best midfielder by a mile. Not even close, by a mile. Edison at Atlanta. We are better than Atlanta. We can offer Champions League now. We'd pay him more money than he's already on. So there's another one. The left winger. I think we could get Adeyemi. I think we could get Eze. I think we could get Semedo. There's players there that are very good players. In my opinion, ain't hard to get. It's about putting your balls on the table, saying I want to win the Premier League and the Champions League in front of a camera. Well, hold on a minute, mate. Let's start proving a point. Let's do it then, because there's so many good players out there that we could get if we wanted to. We just don't want to.
We'll go on. I mentioned two players, completely different ends of the spectrum. And you look at it, another one that we've been linked with for ages, Jonathan David becomes a free agent today. Or tomorrow. It's like you've been linked and wanting him for years and years. And for whatever reason, it's been the fee or whatever the bullshit Spurs want to spin or the ITKs. Well, now he's free. Now he's free. Last season it was he wants Champions League football. That's why we didn't go. Well, you can offer him that now. You're looking at, like we said before, right wing place. And then the other one, and I know Savva's a fan of him. If you're going for Villa players and Villa need to reduce their wage bill, why don't you try and get one of their top stars out? Why don't you say, Aston Villa, right, do you know what? We want John McGinn. John McGinn, I want him at this football club, does exactly what we need.
Be our captain immediately.
Exactly what we need. You can offer him Champions League football. If Villa have wage restrictions or they need to get stuff in line for PSR, well, why are we trying to get rid of one of their cast-offs they want to get rid of? When was the last time Tottenham Hotspur went to a rival, and Villa are a rival now, a direct rival, like it or not, and say, right, do you know what? We want that player X, whoever it may be from Villa. We're going to come in. We can offer better money. We can offer him Champions League. We can offer him London. And go, right, what do we need to... And put that. We never, ever, ever go, right, do you know what? We want that player. And we're going to take him from you. We're going to make it better immediately.
Are Newcastle in the Champions League? Did Newcastle get Champions League?
Yeah, Newcastle in it as well.
Because even there's certain things like, I mean, I wasn't sure about their figure, but like Gordon, if you're talking to us about winning the league and Champions League, and you're going to act on that, not that I think that he would be ecstatic to leave, but if you went, right, there's 65, 70 million for Anthony Gordon, I think Newcastle would find that hard to reject because they've got the pulling power of somebody slightly better. And I'm not embarrassed if it's, no, sorry, we don't want to sell him. Or he comes out and says, I don't want to go to you. I would actually be like, fair play. That's the step above us and the step below the elite. You've tried there.
The problem is, and I always say this about transfers, we don't know that hasn't happened. What I mean is, I'm not with the individual players. You don't know if we haven't approached their agent and their agent said, no, look, listen, like if we approach Anthony Gordon's agent, it will be very swift. Yeah, he's really interested, or he's got no interest in moving, or if he does move, it's not going to be to Tottenham. But I get you. There are players everywhere. There are good, solid players everywhere. Now, as I said, I think a lot of our fans will turn their noses up at everyone. We did last year. We were turning our noses up at links to Livramento, turning our noses up at links to people like Sander Berg, solid midfielder, does the job that it says on the tin, which is exactly what we need, and especially in a Thomas Frank, system. You know, look at Norgard. Anyone who suggested, I tell you what, I'd love Frank to bring Norgard. Oh, he's rubbish. He wouldn't get in our team. Arteta and Arsenal have gone, he'll be in our squad. We'll take it. So I do think our expectations are a little bit, I don't think our expectations are in line with how we've actually performed as a club. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I was with you. Norgard should have been bought. You have someone comes in at the very heart of the team that knows Thomas Frank's style inside out. Yeah, absolutely. Is not saying he's a first team all the time. Comes in. How good is it to have an ex-player in the camp to say, right, listen to this guy, watch him, yada yada yada. He might not have been, but sometimes you need. Well, we signed Wilson Palacios, who I adored. Wilson Palacios is the reason we got Champions League football that year. You can talk about Peter Crouch's header, but it was his signing and having that pit bull there that filled the hole that we needed.
He did a great job.
And he was an absolute incredible sign. When someone heard we were signing a Wigan Honduras or Honduran, however, is it Honduran? Let's say. There you go. That might be.
I don't know.
You'd be like, oh my God, what are we doing? That guy revitalised this football team. He could have come in and done a job. But you mentioned the filth. They're getting rid of Partey and Jorginho. In comes Norgard and what's his name? Zubimendi straight away. They're done. Their midfield, 3 for that position, done. Sorted, all done before the 2 players leave. Here we go, fine. But we turn our nose up at it. It's not good enough for Tottenham.
No one's good enough for Spurs. Like no one feels good enough. I mean, the way I look at it, but by the way, Angus, I wasn't saying you were wrong. I don't care whether it was Berta or Arteta. I know everyone wants to have inside information. I'm making the point that Arsenal went and got him. Right, that's the point I'm making. I'm just saying Arteta got him because he's the manager. That wasn't what I was saying at all. It just feels to me that there's so many sensible signings that could be made. And when you look at a lot of our best signings down the years, I feel, have always been that mould. I feel that they've been in that mould whenever we've done it. Yeah, when we brought Toby out of Ireland. Toby out of Ireland wasn't getting a game at Atletico. He'd been on loan at Southampton. Spurs went and got him sensible signing. Right? Like you said there, Wilson Palacios was another one. Right? Moussa Dembele from Fulham. Not a big, sexy name at the time. Sensible. Right?
Some of my favourite players come through like that. And the most underrated players. Scott Parker, Sandro.
Yeah.
Wanyama.
Wanyama. Yeah. That is why I genuinely think this is the easiest transfer window ever that Daniel Levy will have. We just spoke about Polinia. He's quality, mate. I think he's probably world class in that CDM role. If you've got him breaking up play, I don't think there's a better guy out there to just break up play. I think he's fantastic at it. Douglas Luiz. There's loads. The wingers. Is it Bakayoko, the right winger from PSV?
Yep.
There's loads. Why are you not that's the question. I'd love to just sit there and go, why? What? Where? Do you need help? I can give you a few names. Do you want to scout these players? Daniel Levy, if you're watching, message me. I'll give you a flat rate and I'll give you 10 players in every position that we should sign.
Daniel Levy, if you are watching, I'll tell you something very different to what James is saying. I won't talk about players at all. I'll give you a public announcement.
Yeah, but it's true, isn't it? There's so many good players now. There may not be. I don't think there's anybody at the elite levels. Like we grew up, there was There was Ronaldos, Ronaldinhos, Ginolas. They were everywhere. I don't think there's any of them anymore. But I think everybody is, or not everybody, but there is a huge pond of 8 out of 10s every week. Loads. Just go and get some of them.
I feel like everyone's got so bogged down because of how we've acted as a football club over the years. Everyone's got so bogged down of needing the signings to be explosive names. And I guess that's why the Eze deal for a lot of people, Brian, is the one, right? Because he is that sexy flair player that's a maverick and creative and gets you off your seat. And by the way, I'd love Eze more than anything. But there are other footballers like that lad at Lyon. The more I watch of him, the Georgian lad at Lyon, the left-sided forward.
Yeah.
He looks good.
Looks still strong, powerful, scores goals, plays off the left, plays through the middle. Signings like this are out there, and it might not satisfy the itch.
So you might want to look at a message at 11:28 from Dean.
Dean.
Yeah, one from last.
Oh yeah.
Breaking news from Matt Law. Let's go and have a look at Matt Law, shall we? I'd take Kudus all day long.
100%. 100%.
Let me see. Where has he said this?
Because that'd be interesting. Because Ali Gold yesterday in his show said he's asked out everybody, and no one has said that they're interested in Kudus.
I can't see. It's not on his X page.
Let's have a look.
But again, though, Savva, ain't that the kind of player we're talking about? Kudus, Semenyo's, all of those are levels again above someone like Brennan Johnson. So that's exactly where we should be. I'm happy with that.
1 second, Savva. I'll just share my screen. I've got it. I'll share my screen. 1 second.
Where have you got it that I didn't? Have we got different internet?
No, I
sort it out, Savva. Right, take over.
You remember how much time of my life I spend on Twitter. Kudus has been identified as a primary target by Spurs. Tottenham are believed to be optimistic they can clinch a deal for well below his 85 million release clause, which is set to run for the first 10 days of July. So that's from.
I'll tell you what, right? For me, what I like about Kudus is I know immediately people are going, oh, attitude. Right. Listen, I don't know whether to believe that or not. I mean, I don't know how reliable is Matt Law. But hey. For me, this is the sort of player that I think gets bums off seats.
100%.
Right? He's got that skill. He's got that flair. And I think fans will see the difference between when he gets the ball on the right-hand side and when Brennan Johnson does. And you know what it does? Now, all of a sudden, any left back that we play against will suddenly realise they're in a game.
Yeah.
Now, he might be frustrating. Flair players are often frustrating because flair doesn't work 10 times out of 10. Not every trick works. Not every little shuffle of the feet works. But for me, I would get Kudus in immediately, and that solves the right-hand side. If I've got Kudus on the right, Maddison there, and then you go and get someone like the Georgian lad, I can never say his name, by the way, Makututs, I can't say his name, and you get someone like that Georgian name lad on the left. How scary, I hate that word. How frightening does that look on paper?
A lot better than it does currently.
Suddenly we look at a decent team going forward, right? And all right, Kudus will be a bit expensive. I don't think the lad from Leon will be because of all the crap that Leon are going through at the moment. Doesn't have to be earth-shattering names, guys. That's it. Yeah, I can never say his name. Thanks, Bryce.
But for me, this is where what I kind of said earlier about when Brian said, yeah, but Frank can coach players. Well, I want Frank coaching people that have been 9 out of 10 some week, 6 out of 10 the other week. Because if you can coach somebody that's already, say, a 9 out of 10, three games, and then a 7 out of 10 the next 3 games, if he can get a tune out of someone like that, you've got a 9 out of 10 player week in, week out. Whereas if we're getting someone like Ramsey in, who's a 7 out of 10 every week, you may be able to get him to 8, stick at 7. You're never going to grow. You're going to be in the same circle. Someone like that, for me, is exactly where I want to be. I've seen moments from him where I go, wow, if only he could do that regularly. And that, for me, is what I want Frank to do. I don't want Frank turning water into wine. I want him sort of, gold into silver or silver into gold. You've got to have a good base to change it into, rather than, let's get this young lad in that's all right, but he might become a Tell. Tell's done average, but he might become a 9 out of 10. Well, hold on. Let's get a Kudus who's been there at some points, not always. Work with someone like that and see what you can do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, listen, Brian, what do you make of a Kudus? I mean, I think he had a. Let's bring up his data, by the way.
Be a great addition. Be an absolutely fantastic addition. People go on about his attitude, and that's sometimes been called into question during West Ham, but that could be the environment he's in, the team he's playing in. I think you get he had very, very good performances against us. I think he comes in, like you said, he's a player that when you get the ball, you just don't know what you're going to get from him. A very, very good finisher, very, very tricky. Like you said, if he's playing on the right, immediately their left back is like, okay, I've got to be on my A game today because this guy's going to run me ragged. And that's what we need going into games. We need to go into games where the opposing player thinks, shit, I'm in a battle today. Not, oh my God, I've got an easy one today. I'm going to have 90 minutes where I've got to be switched on for the whole time. I think he'd be a great addition. Isn't
it fair to say that majority of the elite players have attitude problems? I.e., people said that about Gareth Bale. Don't even need to talk about that. People said that about Rashford. You get the right manager under Rashford, I'm telling you, that guy's going to score 25, 30 goals a season. Like, you've seen it. People said the same thing about Osman. People say the same thing about Kvaratskhelia, who just went PSG. Yeah, but his attitude's poor. We wouldn't want to go for him. I'll take him. Do you know what I mean? You need to have a bit of that grit and no, I'm better than you. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to win the game on my own. You do need players like that.
But you know what I like, right? If we look at this, so this is for what is it, Data MB, and the pink is the season just gone, and the blue was his first season. What I love about this is, first of all, I don't know about you guys, I love a winger that dribbles. Mm-hmm. I love a winger that dribbles, and look at his dribbles, right? If I'm not wrong, and I can go in the back office and see what that says. His dribbles in both seasons are 95%. Like, that man likes to get the ball, likes to run at people and dribble. His attacking actions, that's what we want. We want attacking actions, right? Yep. His expected goals and assists are high. And obviously, I think that if we look at him from his first season to his second season, I think there was a.
Is he left-footed?
Huh?
Is he left-footed? Sorry to interrupt there.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Because if he is, I'm more for. Sorry, mate. If he is, I'm so for that because he will cut in, and in my opinion, you have the perfect right fullback, right wing back overlapping. If he used to cut in and create space on the wide, we've got Pedro there, which again not only elevates us going forward down that side due to him, you give another 10% of freedom to somebody like Pedro to deliver balls. Sorry, mate.
No, you're right. No, I agree with you. I mean, I'm looking. I mean, in his first season, he played 45 in all competitions and got 14 goals. So it was 1 every 3. Last season, he only played 35 games and got 5 goals. So the goal drop off was significant. But then you could say so was West Ham as a team. Their drop off was significant. Yeah. So for me, I just feel that could Thomas Frank do with him what he's done for Mbeumo, what he's done for Vissa, which is get that goal output out of them. And I think what we do a lot as fans is we look at players and we go, oh, they don't score many or they don't do this. But we always seem to forget that coaches are there for a reason. You know, coaches are there to make players better. He's still 24, which I think is a good age.
Yep.
He's got experience of playing in World Cups and Champions Leagues with Ajax, so he's got that. I think he could be a bit of a crowd favourite.
Yep, agreed.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, could he make him into an Mbeumo and players like that? That, for me, like I said earlier, that is the kind of player I want Frank to coach. Because could you imagine if Frank took him to the next level? Then we're talking of a serious player. If Frank could take him to the next level, mate, I'm ecstatic. That is where I want us to be. I don't want him to be working with Tell. Taking Tell, you're gonna have to take him up 4 levels. That's pretty hard doing. This guy, if you could get his best out week in, week out, you don't even have to take him up a level. If you could just get his form week in, week out, you've got a really good player on your hands.
No, I agree with you. I think it's been a while as well. I mean, who was the last player you guys remember that just glided past players with skill?
Gareth Bale.
I mean, since then, I haven't seen a single winger we've got that I've gone. Oh,
and I'm talking Gareth Bale first time.
Yeah. Gareth Bale first time. You know, we had it. Aaron Lennon used to beat his man, right? Gareth Bale would beat his man, different types of players, but would beat his man. I watch Spurs now, and every time one of our wide men gets the ball, guys, I just kind of go, okay, they're going to try and whip a cross in or hit the first man. This, for me, I'll take it. Him and Mbeumo, Semenyo, powerful as well. Powerful players. Holding off. I think he'd be a revelation at Spurs. I really do.
I put all of those guys you just mentioned in the same bracket. I think they're very good players. Very good players. The last player I see beat their man, could you put Van der Vaart in there? I know he weren't a winger, but he still attempted to beat his man. Other than that, mate.
Even if it was Van der Vaart, James, that's still Gareth Bale time.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're still talking the same kind of time period.
Son in his prime, he never really used to be. He was more of a cut in and shoot kind of guy. For me, I mean, my favourite player of all time to wear a Spurs shirt is David Ginola. So you could look at his stats all day long and say, oh, they're not great. But if you watch football with your eyes, you can see that there is a player that is like, here we go. Let's go. What's going to happen here? That
just
for me
is... Just going to share my screen again because people arrive.
Here you go. I've got it. Here we go.
Oh, you got it gone. Fabrizio, yeah.
I don't have X, so I have to use my friend's X page, Brian. And all I do is just check the same sort of 7 to 10 reporters daily. I don't post or anything. So Romano has said Tottenham have genuine interest. Oh, buzzword bingo, Brian. Yeah. Genuine interest. We've got genuine interest in Mohamed Kudus, and he's high on the list for this summer, as Matt Law reports. Initial contacts took place with his new agents. While there are more clubs involved, Kudus open to Spurs talks. 2 things scare me there, James. Interest and more clubs.
And high on list. So that means, we don't get the high on list.
Yeah. Well,
is that the Spurs?
Have you seen
me going, oh, fucking hell.
I think it's the film Bruce Almighty where he opens the filing cabinet and he thinks about 4 miles. Is that our list? It's one of those things. They're just list of players. Listen, I mean, it's a bit of a statement coming from West Ham. They could do an amazing welcome video, loads of bubbles, and he's popping them all, and then he puts on a Spurs shirt. They could do an incredible reveal. I don't think there's much difference between him and Buemo. I think they're all in the same category. I would love any of them. They are absolutely levels upon levels among levels above the likes of Brennan Johnson. Levels. Some of those players are so good with the ball at their feet, and that is what I would love to see.
I have to say as well with Kudus, when people got to remember as well, when people say, it's West Ham, we do business with West Ham. It's not like Chelsea. You look at it, Carrick, Defoe, Canute, you can go on with the players. It won't be like if it was Spurs and Chelsea trying to get a deal, you're like, it's nonsense. It's just not going to happen. Like we've had with Shabalala and blah, blah, and all the other players. Gallagher last season, it don't happen. With West Ham, this could very, very much happen. If Spurs are serious about this and there won't be an issue with the club's rivalry trying to get this deal done. And West Ham need the money to reinvest, don't they? So
it must be a good option, Brian, because even the box office is agreeing with James. Even the box office is giving the thumbs up. But yeah, I think look, listen, my man Ash makes a good point. Said, but your Kudus can go both sides as well. What I love about him, I love footballers that can do things we can't. And what I mean by that is anyone can be coached to do what Brennan Johnson does, ghost in at the far post and tap in, right? Not anybody can be coached to get the ball, do a Cruyff turn, take on his man, drop a shoulder. That you can't coach skill. You can't. You can hone it. You can get more output out of it, but you can't. People are naturally skillful, right? So I would love to see that. Now I know that Daniela is a West Ham fan. Daniela, I'm taking him all day long. I'm taking him all day long. I think in a proper setup with a proper manager like Frank, I think that we see the best out of him. And I would see a minimum of 12 Premier League goals from him. I would see a minimum of 12 Premier League goals. And I think he'd be exciting in the Champions League. I do. I think it'd be exciting.
You could add 5 on that for me, easily, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I think I don't think it's just Kudus. I know this is common sense, but Kudus, for example, on the right wing, James Maddison knows who he is. He's going to go, right, can I find Kudus? Can I find that guy? And then when he's got the ball, he's going to draw out 2 players, which is then going to free up space for Solankis, the Maddisons, whoever goes on the left-hand side. For me personally, I think that is an absolute no-brainer, because what it does is it opens up the whole pitch, frees up Pedro Porro. Imagine Pedro Porro and him on the same side. You would need 2 to 3 men on that side to cover that when we're attacking. It'd be amazing to watch.
But then you get this, Lee, it won't be 85 mil, but you've got to remember, he's just had a bad year. In the first season, I think he got, hang on, let me just double check in his first season what he did. Because this is where I think as fans, if we're going to do this, then who is it that we want to buy? Players are allowed to have an off season.
Then I don't want to hear you complain about Brennan Johnson.
Well, no, the thing is, you've got to look at it. At West Ham, he was playing a certain brand of football, certain style, which was restricted. Obviously, they weren't firing all cylinders last season. So there's a lot of unrest, changing manager, loads of new players came in. Just because he has one bad season, shouldn't write him off for just that season. What he brings to a Spurs team and the players who have around him to let him do his game is night and day.
He got 20 goal contributions in his first season at West Ham. Right. So again, I do think we've got to realise sometimes it is. Listen, I think when you've got a player who's 27, 28, 29, and we've seen that this is their whole career, I get it, which is my argument with a Dominic Solanke, for example. But this is a guy who's 24. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say anyone at West Ham's had a great year, would you?
No,
I don't know. Just two different managers, different styles. Listen, I'm taking him. I want something like that in my team. I want to be excited.
Couldn't there be that case for a lot of players? For me, Bentancur, I think you're going to see a completely different player this season with Bentancur. Does that mean that he's crap because his stats under Ange? No, it doesn't. For me, I am interested to see. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I have hope. Does that mean Solanke got 6 goals last season? That's the best we're gonna get from Solanke? 6 goals this season. I would like to think that's going to at least double, if not triple, under Frank. So one season under a really bad manager that got changed, you need to look at the bigger picture. Otherwise, why are we buying a right winger in the first place because of Brennan Johnson?
Yeah, I have to say, I've seen a few people in the chat say they'd rather Jared Bowen. There's absolutely not a chance in hell of Jared Bowen coming to Tottenham Hotspur. Not a chance in.
Sure.
If there was a viable option, I think he's a marvellous player, but he is very, very, very heavily West Ham, and there is absolutely no chance in getting him. Not a chance.
Well, he's not. The family he's involved with are.
Mate,
he wasn't
exactly,
there.
He's so heavily involved with it now. So he wouldn't.
For me, yeah, like that comment said, I judge football by my eyes. That's exactly what I just said. I was answering Lee's thing where he said 85 million for someone that's got 4 goals. For me, if you're judging football by the look, you can't be saying no to Kudus, because when he's on fire, didn't he run from his own half and score? Was that him for West Ham? Didn't he run from his own half and put it into the corner? So he's got the ability to do that. So the question for me is not, is he going to be a good signing? My question would actually be on Frank and say, Frank, can you get the best out of him week in, week out? Because if you can do that, then you have a serious player on your hands.
Let's have a look here. I've just gone to FB Ref, which everyone wants to see for the scouting reports. Let's turn into scouts for the day. Here we go. So if we have a look at this, is Mohamed Kudus. The scout report, hopefully that's big enough so you can see. Oh, actually, that might need to be a bit bigger. 1 second. Don't know if we'll be able to get it all in if I go a bit bigger. There we go. So what you can see there, so this is his report against midfielders, and we'll do it against forwards in a minute. But what you can see there is, for anyone that can't read that, the green, anything green is good, right? And he's in the 88th percentile for non-penalty goals, non-penalty expected goals, total shots. He's decent for assists, but again, difficult to judge assists because who is he assisting? Has he got players that he's assisting at West Ham when they don't really have a centre forward? MPXG and I don't even know what that is. Non-penalty expected goals plus assisted goals, 93%. But for me, this is it. Shot creating actions, 90%. Progressive carries, 98%. Successful take-ons, 99th percentile. Touches in the attacking penalty area, 98%. Progressive passes, 98%. Now, obviously, a lot of the red stuff is going to be the defensive duties. And I think you kind of know you're going to get that with a fair player.
Like a Ginola.
Like a Ginola. But then if we look at it against forwards, look at it. Look at the greens, the shot creating actions, passes attempted, pass completion rate, progressive passes, progressive carry, successful take-ons, progressive passes received. You know, I want that in a forward. I don't know about you guys. I want all of those progressive stats, the ball carries, the getting into the other team's half, the other team's box. I like that.
Absolutely. That's what I want my attackers to do. And I also, it's not asking questions, but somebody like that would be asking questions of Solanke. Where are you? You need to be finishing my attempts. Whereas last year, you could kind of say, yeah, he missed a few attempts, Solanke, but he was getting maybe 1 or 2 a game, whereas he's going to get 3, 4, 5 a game now to be in, if he's in that area with someone like Kudus. I think that I just think it's a no-brainer. I think if Kudus gets the ball, Solanke runs into the box. I think if Brennan Johnson gets the ball, Solanke doesn't run into the box. I think there's 2 different sort of frames of mind.
I think you also have to look at there's a comment that you just brought up as well. where what we have to do is, if this is genuine, it looks like it is gathering pace, this is something Spurs need to do quickly. Because if a player is available like that, other teams will come in, and other teams, Spurs need to move quick. Because
the worry with this, Brian, the worry with this is the team that are heavily linked with him are Chelsea.
There you go. Extra quick.
Have you seen when Chelsea do a deal, it is like that, isn't
Correct.
it? There's none of this 15, 20 days of... I know, obviously, with Bino Gittens being at the World Club Cup and that, but look at João Pedro. Boom. Just done. Yeah, look at Liam Delap. Done. They'll do it with Kudus as well. This is the worry. If a club like that does come in, but if there is the money for a Mohamed Kudus, then there is the money for a Semenyo. There is the money for a Simmons. There is the money for who am I forgetting it? An Eze. There is a money for the Georgian guy from Lyon. Like, if there's the money there, then that's good, right? But I don't believe anything until I see that Spurs have officially bid, guys. That I don't believe it until then.
Oh, I agree. And we all want Eze, or we all want Mbeumo or whoever. But again, if Frank wants this guy, and Frank's made the point of, no, I want Kudus, and they're going, and this could be the paper talk, but what about Mbeumo? What about, he could have gone, no, that's not what I want. I want this guy. So hopefully, no one sees what's happening behind the scenes. Hopefully, that's Frank's man, and hopefully, if it is, he gets it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think anything around the 50 million is an absolute no-brainer.
I completely agree. And by the way, there's a lot of people asking these questions saying, do we prefer? I don't always think in a transfer market it comes down to what the fans prefer. It's going to be about two things for me. One is going to be who the manager prefers, and two is going to be which deal can get done. Yeah, I prefer Erling Haaland to Dominic Solanke. Doesn't mean Erling Haaland's coming to Tottenham Hotspur. You know what I mean?
I do think they're different. And I'm not saying that either of them are bad here, because I know what people like to kind of change it. But I think Kudus will beat his man more than Eze will. But I think Eze will have a better end product than Kudus, if that makes sense. I think if you want someone to proper get you off your seat, I think you're going to get that more from Kudus. But I think you'll potentially get more goals and assists out of, or more goals definitely out of Eze.
How do we get more likes out of the 575 people in here, James?
Ban them all.
235 likes, not even half the likes. This is shocking. People smash that like button. But look, by the way, I hear this word a lot. I don't think there's meltdowns. We're just Spurs fans. I don't think meltdown anymore. I think we just all go, we don't believe anything until we see it. Yeah, listen, this is what you were talking about. Get the Bowen instead. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine that conversation at dinner with his father-in-law.
Yeah.
All right, Danny Dyer. Yeah. I know I married your daughter, and I'm now going to go and play for them lot down at White Hart Lane. That's going to go down.
The thing Danny Dyer will get if it actually happened, and Danny Dyer's mate, it's just this would be an incredible trial if we even could, but there's just no way. There's certain players just like, no, not going to happen. Forget the financials of it. It's just not going to happen.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, listen, by the way, I don't think it needs to stop there. I think when we talk, James, we always talk, don't we, about do you want him or him? Get me both. Get him, get the Georgian lad, get Xavi Simons, completely revamp it. Chelsea have just signed João Pedro, Delap, and Bino Gittens. They've just added a whole new forward line.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that has to be their front three, but they've added a whole new forward line in a week, 2 weeks. Go and do that. Go and
that's what I'm saying.
rip it up.
But this is what I'm saying, though. For me personally, I don't want 10 players in this window. I want 3. Kudus, say Eze. And to be honest, if we got Kudus and Eze, I could put up with Basuma and Bentancur for another season if they're both in the double pivot. Honestly, I just want 2 players that you're going to go, yes, absolutely. Maddison, Now there is zero excuse. You have Eze, Kudus. Do what you could do. Otherwise, you have to go. That for me is the position. I always think people work. For me personally, I work better when there's a deadline. Right, that job is a 2-day job. Get it done. Once that's done, you're at home. So you got the rest of the day off. Mate, that job will nearly be done on a Monday because I want the day off on Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be like that for Maddison. So look, you've got these guys now. You don't perform, mate, you're out of it. And then Maddison's like, oh, actually, yeah, I have to perform. Right? No, okay, Kulu's there. Well, if you don't perform, you've got Maddison. Like, I just think when you upscale 3 players, everybody has to upscale with them. Otherwise, off you go.
Great.
No.
That looks like a crap sausage and egg McMuffin.
That's bloody what's it?
Hang on, what's it? Yeah, I think, Emma, when we're saying can we compare Kudus and Johnson, the problem is all you want to do is compare the stats, right? The difference is Mohamed Kudus brings a different dimension to how Tottenham play. You think when Brennan Johnson gets the ball on the right-hand side, I don't know about you two on the panel, I straight away go, well, this is the move ended because we know he can't beat his man or his cross hits the first man and bounces off, right? Now, yes, I will give him all the credit in the world for what he does at getting in the box and scoring goals. But when he's not doing that, Brian, it is like playing with 10 men. And going into the Champions League, we can't rely on Brennan Johnson tapping in. We're going to need wide men that go at people.
We are, and I've said this before. Brennan Johnson, you won't see on the right wing this season. He'll be more central. He will be more central under Frank. So this season, you're going to see Brennan Johnson playing a more suitable role that he's done. We went and brought him and stuck him in a position he's never played and said, right, go do your stuff over there. Yes, he wasn't good at it on the wing. He wasn't taking on his man and delivering. The only time I remember him really delivering quality is when he had that little relationship with Richarlison, where he was hitting it near post and Richarlison came in and got the tap-ins, and that happened a few times. But he's going to be more central and playing around Solanke or whoever the man up top is going to be. So that's why it's so desperate for me that this right winger comes in. Hopefully it is a Kudus or any of them, but Kudus is the man in question at the moment. I think you see a completely different Brennan Johnson, and he'll be more focused on getting on the end of Johnson, Solanke knockdowns or being around there and his finishing. So I think you see a completely different Brennan Johnson. Will it be good enough? Will it be good enough in that position? Will we be, oh my God, we don't need player X, Y, Z? Don't know. But you're going to see a completely different Brennan Johnson. As I said, every single Spurs player right now, clean slate for me, every single one of them. And we see what Frank does with them. But I think you see a completely different Brennan Johnson. And I think you only see him on the right wing now if it's necessity. Like we used to do if we moved Kulu out from centre to right because someone was injured. I don't think you see Brennan Johnson on the wing at all this season.
I agree. I don't think he's a winger. I say that. I know he's not a winger. He doesn't look a winger. When he gets the ball, he doesn't have the mannerisms of a winger, the confidence of a winger, and he doesn't look like a bloke who knows he can beat his man because I think he knows he can't. So, listen, Chris, big up Chris, CC. You're right. There are no deals Spurs do that aren't difficult deals. Wouldn't it be lovely, though? I mean, I'm talking to Chris, but obviously Brian and James in the chat. Wouldn't it be lovely for Spurs if they did want, let's use Kudus because he's the one we're talking about. Wouldn't it be lovely for Spurs putting a bid on the Tuesday? It's going to sound like a Craig David song. It gets rejected on the Wednesday. We put in a second bid on the Thursday, and then Friday it's done. Saturday he's having a medical, and Sunday he's got. Wouldn't it be lovely just for once, Brian, for Spurs to act like that?
It would be absolutely. I mean, I can't remember the last time we did it. Actually, I think the last time we did it was Vicario, where it was going to be rare, and then within 24 hours, bang, there you go, that was done. Maddison took its time. But yeah, it's such a rarity, isn't it? It really is such a rarity. For even players going out, it's like just get the deal done, take the money, reinvest it in the squad. It will be wonderful. Could you imagine if this was a summer come July the 1st, where Spurs did do deals quickly like that? Could you imagine if we just had a stress-free July, player bid, player accepted, player signed? Wouldn't it just be lovely?
We all know in the lead up to the PSG game, we all know we're still going to be going, God, we still haven't got in X, Y, Z, whatever we needed. We all know, right? Because that game, if I'm not wrong, is 44 days away. If I'm not wrong, the PSG game, the 13th of August, right?
Yep.
So we're 40, by the power of my maths, I think we're 44 days away from that game. Now, most other clubs go 44 days. Oh, that's ages to get your transfer business done. Spurs could make one deal last 44 days, guys. So I just want to see us move different in the next couple of weeks. I'll give them a week, like James said. I'll give them a week, but I need to see us move different.
Savva, how long will it be until, and you know you're going to hear it, Spurs are £5 million away? You know, it's always fucking 5 million. Yeah. Always. There will be the deal's getting closer. The valuations from both clubs are £5 million away. You know, that is the most surest thing in any Spurs transfer deal.
Yeah, West Ham wants 65. Spurs have topped at 59.5. You know, like
something stupid like that. Yeah, it's always £5 bloody million. Always.
Oh, it's
I think I don't know what the likes are saying, mate, but I've just been sat in Sainsbury's car park for an hour and 45 minutes. It says a maximum stay for an hour and a half. So I'm probably going to get a ticket for this show. So if these guys don't like the show, then I'm not very happy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. The likes are getting worse and worse the more shows we do. We've got 600 in here at the moment, only 270 likes. Let me do some super chats. First of all, big up to Tony Rodriguez out in Sweden. He's been a channel member now for 22 months. By the way, there is a channel member only show at 3 p.m. today. So for any channel members that want to come on and have their say, but without it being broadcast over the internet, it's a safe space. It's a safe space. Big up to you. He said Dominic Calvert-Lewin incoming. I'll tell you what, for me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for me, should have Sunderland or Burnley or Leeds written all over him. For me, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes to Spurs, I think you'll suddenly see the protests go to every single Spurs fan. Big up to you for that, Tony Rodriguez. Eze, like a Sunday morning. Oh, sorry, I just got it. When you read it slowly, it doesn't work. Easy like a Sunday morning. I said Mikoadze and Eze versus Kudus and David. Mate, give me any combo.
I have to say, that is a top name.
Footballers.
That is a top name. That really is.
Like Sunday morning?
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's a fantasy football name team for next season, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Or a quiz name. You know when you go to a quiz and there's always someone that does like Quizzy Rascals. You know what I mean? Like, you know, quiz team Aguilera, you know, like.
Oh, dear.
To answer the question, mate, I'll take any four of them in any two of them in any order. For me, if Spurs were serious, we'd go out and get Jonathan David on a free, Mikoadze and Kudus, and completely revamp our forward line. If we're serious, that's what we do. And if we got two or three of them, I'd now be saying maybe we can challenge for fifth. At the moment, I think we're miles off it. At the moment, I think we're miles off the top five. But these are the sort of footballers we need to be linked with, and more importantly, need to be buying. So big up to you. And also Craig Fenners said, big up, guys. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Craig, for the super chat. Big up, guys. Frank will have been watching clips of our players for weeks already. He's not stupid. I agree. I think he'll know already. I think the ones that he needs to look at, Craig, will be the ones that we all need to look at. Phillips, Vuskovic, Dorrington, Gray. I think he'll need to look at all of these types of players in training rather than your Bentancurs. I think he'll know what to expect from Solanke and Johnson and Kulu and Madders. I think he'll know. But big up, Craig. I completely agree with you, mate. He's a very astute man. Last thing I wanted to talk about, guys, just before we end the show in the next 10 minutes. And Danny Kiriakou, stop saying happy birthday to everyone. One thing I want to talk about is Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. I've got a very divided fan base, right? And obviously it didn't help with the Ange in, Ange out. Then obviously Ange being sacked. You've got some people that want Romero to leave, some people that don't, yada, 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 yada. Some people expect Frank should get top 5 or he's failed. Other people think he just needs to do higher up the league because of how bad we were last year. What could Spurs possibly do in the next 6, 7, 8 weeks before the season starts to unite that fan base? Is there anything Spurs could do to unite the fan base?
For me, it's acting quick. So, for example, say they're waiting for tomorrow for the new financial year to start. They could come out and go, right, bang, Kudus, Eze, and Paulinho, whoever it is, bang, 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 bang. Say, right, everyone got overhyped. We was waiting for the new financial year. We couldn't do it last year. This is it. Done, 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 done. Frank's got his whole squad going away with him on pre-season. That, for me, would be like, wicked. Off we go. I think it's just being whatever your plan is, just doing it rather than think about it or waiting for it. Just act on what your plan is. Get it sorted. Give Frank the best opportunity to go away with.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I will say waiting for the new financial year has to be the biggest cop-out from a football club of our size I've ever bloody heard of. Ever, because we're ahead of FFP, we're ahead of PSR. But no, we've got to wait for the financial year to set itself, then we can go. It's the biggest load of nonsense ever. But let's go along with it. Let's go along because
unless there's a sale coming, then they want to make the books
unites the fans. That's what unites the fans. Goodbye, I'm off. See you later. Mate, honestly, I think it's right. If we need players to come in and say, you know what, that's a window of intent. That's what there's been so much change with Vinay, with Charrington, with Frank, with the coaching staff. If you're going to do this and follow through, get in the players that you go in and say, because I keep looking at it, we keep buying the one player that, like last season, Solanke. First, whether you like him or not, first teamer, the rest were the youth. I keep saying, we keep building for the team for tomorrow, whilst our rivals keep building for the team of today. Mm-hmm. And every single time we're playing catch up every time we hear, in 2 years' time these players will be great. Okay, well, what about right here, right now? We're always playing in 2 years' time. We'll be good. If Spurs went to go get, let's just say a Kudus, let's just say a Paulinho, and let's just say we got another left back to compete with Destiny because we see Spencer's a right back, and we mean genuine players that walk into that first team, and then you have like the Japanese guy and the others that are there to be. Then you're like, right, okay, this is something you can say, do you know what? Spurs have actually been quite ruthless. Spurs have actually guaranteed or genuinely improved their first team because our first team needs help big time.
Yeah.
If our current first team, if we were to sign, let's just say a right winger, a 6, a left back, straight away the players that go on the bench make that bench and that team stronger. And you get rid of some players that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to come in at the end of this window, go, do you know what? Love Levy, hate Levy, whatever it is, we've actually attacked this market for the first team, not the squad. That's what we'll do, I think. That would be the window where we go, right, we've actually addressed the first team, not the squad.
Yeah, don't you think it would still be that our fans, as I said, we're not going to be happy with whoever we sign, even if Frank wants them. And I always keep using this example. If Romero was to go and Thomas Frank says, you know what, who I really want to replace him, I want it to be Nathan Collins, who I know, who I bought to Brentford, who had a great year last year. He had really good stats. The fans wouldn't take to it. The fans would say, there you go, another manager not being backed. So I feel like I don't think we're ever all going to be happy, are we? I can't see us ever being on the same page.
You know why? Sometimes I think it's because some fans, YouTubers, people that comment in the chats are so fixated on being correct or being right or saying I told you so that they'll never give anybody a chance, because at the end of the season they've got their alibi out of things. So say if they say Kudus is rubbish, for example, if he comes and smashes it, they'll say, well, of course I wanted the best, I'm a Spurs fan. But if he comes and drops the ball and he's not very good, they'll go, told you. So there's so many people for me that are adamant on being right or trying to prove everybody that they're wrong, that They're never gonna inline anyway.
Yeah. But by the way, sorry, Seven, I'm seeing all of your comments here, and I've seen you're been a member for 22 months, so thanks for that. When you say I wouldn't take Kudus for 65, that's just robbery from West Ham. Cherky went for 34 million. The problem is if we play this game, I see when football fans do this. If we're going to play this game as he went for this, so he's this, we're completely taking out Premier League proven, club circumstances, right? Leon, for example, before that thing, Leon, for Leon, 40 million is a lot of money, right? For Leon, 40 million is a lot of money for a player that wants out. West Ham are not selling Mohamed Kudus for 40 million. Yeah? Bournemouth, they're not selling Semenyo for 40 million. So when we're talking about all these players aren't worth X, Y, Z, this is the difference. We've got to get on the same level as the fan bases of the clubs we want to emulate. Yep. I don't see Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, City fans going, oh, what, 60 million? Oh, what? We shouldn't be concerned by that. Yeah? For me, guys, if you want to go and get a player at a club that doesn't need the money, you've got to pay. That's life. You've got to pay. Yep. Yeah? Now, if we're going to do that, what about when we're selling players? Loads of people could look at Romero and go, oh, he's always injured. He's only worth 40 million. Daniel Levy sold him for 40 million. We're all sitting here going, what? Oh, my God, we've been robbed. He should have been 60 million. This is not how the transfer market works. It's not tit for tat. Cherky and Kudus are very different situations, aren't they, lads?
Yep. Correct. Absolutely correct. You got to look at it. If it was only 34, I mean, obviously he went to Man City, it would have been a start. We were linked with him heavily and never made a move for him. But 34 million, that would have been incredible business for us. If you're not going to go and get these players, and we failed to do this on so many occasions, you need to pay the price. And like you said, mate, I think someone said as well, Cherky only had a year left on his contract as well. Right. So that's straight away.
That is the most, I'm sorry, that is the most stupid comment I have ever heard. Ever.
What, because
our best, no, by sorry, not you, but by that, what they value. I'm sorry. That's the stupidest comment I've ever heard. So you can only be good if it's worth big money. So Kai Havertz is probably the best striker in the Premier League. No? It doesn't it's just mind blowing. It's just so stupid. Every circumstance is different. Every player is different. If Cherky is going to Lyon, listen, I'm leaving for Man City regardless. And Man City are only bidding 35, and they're saying, look, that's all I'm giving you. And Cherky's there going, no, listen, I'm not playing for you ever again. Like what Gareth Bale did. Gareth Bale was worth more than what we sold him for. Harry Kane is worth more than what we sold him for. But when they're sitting there going, no, listen, I ain't playing for you again. Christian Eriksen, sitting in Milan, I'm not playing for you. You sell me for this, or you've got a dead player waiting on your hands, and at the end of the season, I'm worth nothing. It doesn't work like that. It's just stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, by the way, Mike Chase, I don't understand your comment. What are you doing, mate? Sean is live on another stream. So? I'm not sure what I'm meant to be taking from this, lads. Anything? Am I missing something?
He's probably. I mean, if I was to look like a positive guy, if I was looking at this in a positive way, that Mike's being positive, it's like he doesn't know which one of you to choose because he loves watching you both.
Okay, We'll go with
that. We'll go with that.
Sorry, Mike, I can't help it. I go live at 10 a.m. every day, mate. I don't know what to say. Sean's allowed to go live whenever he wants. By the way, I don't have the monopoly of YouTube time slots. I don't quite think that's how YouTube works yet. Be good if it was.
Smash the likes on both, Mike, and then you're all good, mate.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, I think this situation's interesting. Like loads of people going, "Oh, I pay 55, not 65." Guys, on one hand, we want Daniel Levy to act. On the other hand, we're now going, what we must do. Listen, you go to Bournemouth for Semenyo and say 50 million. They're telling you where to go, right? You go to Eze and Palace with 50 million. They're telling you where to go. Kudus and West Ham. These clubs don't need money, right? I've said this for years, guys. The transfer market is now more about what a club can command than the actual player's worth. It's what it's worth to the selling club. Now, you're right. 1 year left on a contract. I've got decisions to make. Do I take 40 million or do I risk losing them for zero? But at a club where I'm guessing Kudus has been there 2 years. I'm guessing he's got 3-4 years left on his contract. You're not getting him out of West Ham for less than 65 million. Why do we care?
Well, the perfect one to look at when you use this, Savva, is Semenyo. Bournemouth are cash rich. Bournemouth have sold big stars for big money. And yes, they may be a smaller club with a very small stadium, and the revenue streams they have isn't like ours. They're in no rush to sell Semenyo unless he really, really wants out. They can command whatever fee they want for him. Like if we'd gone for him before Hyson had gone, Kirkhead had gone, whatever, and said, right, here you go, 50, who knows if Bournemouth would have said yes or no to it. They got 65 million coming in from us, from Solanke. They got some the Hyson money, the Kirkhead's money. They don't need to sell right now. So they can command whatever fee they bloody well want. Even if it's to say you're not having him and we're going to put a stupid price on you, you're going to have to pay this price to get him. This is what he said. This is exactly what it's become now.
Yeah. But again, now let's look at it from the point of view. If Daniel Levy did go to West Ham and went 50 million's my top bid and said no, the fan base would crucify him. Fan base would say, "Oh, typical Levy. He's not." We can't have it all ways, right? We can't.
Well, it's lose-lose, isn't it? 50 million don't get him. Daniel Levy's fault. 60 million, well, it's overpriced. Daniel Levy's made the mistake again. Dominic Solanke, Richarlison, Brennan Johnson. It's a lose-lose.
I completely agree. I completely agree. A big Craig Silver said we're not interested in competing if we don't buy two of Kudus, Eze, Xavi Simons, Semenyo. Craig, I think we've got to remember there are other footballers in the world other than these four names that keep getting mentioned, though. I think we've got to remember that there are other footballers. I agree that we need these types. I think we need a Simons type, a Kudus and Eze, Semenyo. But you've got people, as I said, like the Georgian lad whose name I can never say, like Jonathan David. There's players all over Europe that are very, very good that we just don't seem to mention. Guys, I'm going to leave it there because I'm live again at 3. Anything that anyone wants to say before I send everyone over to Sean's channel?
Yeah, just very quickly say that Tottenham on Tour are live at 2 p.m. UK time. Me and Ben will be live. So if anyone is free and wants some Spurs content, Tottenham on Tour will be live at 2 p.m. And Savva, thanks for having me on, brother. No, always, mate. I love it. I love it. Please get over there at 2 p.m. And watch Tottenham on Tour with Brian and Calfee. Ben Calfee. James, anything you want to say before we depart?
No, I would actually like everybody to like the stream, as I'm probably going to get an £80 now parking ticket for parking in Sainsbury's. So at least ease the pain a little bit and like the stream before we go. Yeah, listen, guys and girls, please smash the like button. Only 308 likes. We've had a lot of people in here. You've got really tight with that, guys. Anyway, smash that button. Listen, I'm gonna send you all over to Sean, who is live right now. Jumping in on my time slot, old Sean Butler. He loves it, doesn't he? I'm sending you all over there now. Please type in Savva Raid. I'll be back at 3 p.m. for the members only show, and then 6 p.m. for Savva and Perchi, the What Are We Doing Here podcast. Take care, everyone. Much love. And before I go, big up Marios, who's got in a 97th minute winner there with the super sticker. Big up to you, Marios. Really appreciate you, my man. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. And as always,
Levy
come
out.
on, you Spurs.